Good morning on this very cold Sydney day. I think currently it's 11 degrees. It's working its way up, but I put the rubbish out earlier and I just felt so chilly. Um, Today I'm feeling Violet. So, Violet was my grandmother, and a few weeks ago I wrote a poem to her entitled Violet, and it retakes some elements of her own perspectives as narrated in letters to her sister, because I have 22 such letters and I've looked at them very closely. These letters are helping me to thread a parallel narrative in the new novel that I have in mind that's called The Red Thread. So threads aren't coincidental or incidental. They're very important. And even in Loop Vertigo, I have a poem that's called Thread, actually. Yeah, but I wanted to read this one, which is the latest addition to Loop Vertigo. It is called Violet, and I will be looking at the screen, so you have to permit a little bit of eye movement. Violet. Violet, I see myself in your tired eyes, your body worn by so many storms, yet holding our histories bound doubly by empire, yet leaving, never at home except in your English garden. Your mother sang at the Crystal Palace. I have a photo, here ringed by tiara, Bessie Dore, one of a generation. Brother Sydney left for Brazil, she for Australia, with you. A secret lineage, Ashkenazi, visible yet English, through and through. In your letters, you somehow utter desire's imprimatur, the heart of the matter. A South Indian poet, one of several sweethearts, a professor from Sydney, threaded against furious lines on a husband who breached borders, marauder, scored by wars and earlier departures to Burma, to boarding school. Parents disappeared in train steam. What did you freight in the wake of all this? Flowers, darning needles, decorum, inheritances spent, constant longing for return. So this one just emerged one morning, on a morning like this, quite spontaneously, and that is typically how my poems emerge. They come to me and they just are fully born. I don't know. Like, obviously I tinker with them, right? But that one sprung fairly whole, and I think it encompasses the longing and the desire, as well as the sense of being entrapped or doubly bound, obviously, by empire, that Violet lived through as an immigrant, but also in her quite difficult relationship with my grandfather, who was Anglo-Indian. So the references to Burma are when he was sent to Burma as a child. That is within the context of occupied colonial British India. And she feels that a lot of his, what she calls trauma, began there. So I don't think that that's unusual in a sense, because colonial institutions are known for that, aren't they? Including in this country for First Nations peoples. But Violet pinpoints it, amongst other things. The man who came back never the same. Coming back to her silent husband. And I can relate to that as well. Different kinds of degrees of silencing. And of course, poetry is an attempt to break through those things. And I hope I've done that with this poem. I've still got so much more writing to do. It's really inhabiting worlds, moving through worlds. And I have ideas, but poetry doesn't really occur for me in a way that's schematized. It's more like unconscious, and it emerges from sort of the liminalities and the shadows in my mind. Yeah, so Violet, I'm thinking of you, and I'm thinking about how I actually look quite a lot like you, as well as my grandfather. I'm like a blend between my Anglo-Indian grandfather and my grandmother. Both of them immigrants, so both of them sort of out of place. We always thought and were told we're from somewhere else, right? The strangeness of these re-encounters, inheritances.